It's a Wednesday night doing something a little bit different.
Because
Back
we
from
can't read a
wherever we
calendar.
went, and who the hell knows where we're actually broadcasting, but we don't care. We're going to do it anyways tonight. You're watching Night Terrors Radio. As always, joining me, the ever vigilant, ever persistent, ever holy, meaning holes in his person, Rob Pastilli, phoning in from the East Coast. And how you doing, Rob?
Guten Abend, meine Herren. I'm well. I'm excited that we're doing a show. I feel like we haven't talked in like months and months and months.
It feels that way. It does. It's been a strange journey, man. Like I got to tell you, life has been, really really bizarre. The last couple weeks of last month, we were shooting here in Illinois, some other places. Getting ready to wrap up this second feature film, and people don't just. It's like anything else. People who aren't in that industry don't realize the sort of the pains of that industry. The same way that I don't realize the pains of other industries, but it can be a little arduous. I mean, there are a couple of days that we were on set at like practically 5:30 a.m. and getting offset at 10 p.m. at night. So those are some long days.
Yeah.
And I don't think people expect that when they think of things in the entertainment industry, because of the glitz and the glamour of it. They always sort of expect that, you're coming in, you're having fun, and regardless, you are. I mean, I've always sort of said that the worst day doing what you love is better than the best day doing something you don't care about. And I do think that holds true, whatever wisdom you can apply to that. But yeah, so it's just been really busy doing that. And then we're still trying to promote the first film, which is still out there. We'll be at the Crown Point International Film Festival in Chicago, May 25th, and just today we were sort of where we're given information that we're going to be playing this year at Roswell. So so the film will be playing in Roswell, New Mexico. For anybody going into the big UFO festival this year, you'll be able to see holes in the sky.
Are you going to be able to go out there for that, or?
I would love to. I mean, I was out there once, and I love New Mexico. I love the Roswell area. I'd love to go back to like Albuquerque, some of the places that we visited the first time we went up there. So yeah, I would love to. If we can make it work, God, I would absolutely love to make it work because it's just such a great adventure up there. So we'll see. That's going to be towards the end of June into the 1st of July. So that festival, I think the film festival and just the festival in Roswell usually runs about a week. Where they have a ton of events at the museum there. They've got a ton of guest speakers. I'd like to be there just for that. And, hopefully having a film in the festival might allow me access to some of these personalities a little more than if I just showed up. So I'll take full advantage of any kind of status I can to sort of mix and mingle while I'm there. But you never know. We're going to try to go up to Chicago on the 25th. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so just a lot of stuff happening. And, you've been just injured.
Yeah.
Like you're spending a lot of time being injured.
I have been.
It's become like a preoccupation for you.
Yeah, I sprung a leak, as you know. I didn't mean to. It just happened. Yeah. And yeah, it was definitely a horror movie wound, man. I can tell that I'll be able to look at horror movies now in a whole new light and say that's not even close to real.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, like that doesn't look like a lasagna in there. You can't reach in and pull out yourself about a million carbs. Look at that. That's not salted long pork.
So I'm all right now. I'm healing, getting better. Today is World Paranormal Day. So, that's a big deal for me.
What a better fitting time to be back on the air
than
World Paranormal Day.
Right. It's like you planned it.
Yeah. and people who know us better realize that nothing about the show is planned. So
And
the joke's on them.
right. I mean, Julie's still trying to get me to understand how to read a calendar. So,
Yeah, no, it's difficult. There's all those boxes, and the numbers are real tiny.
right. And then you get those days where there's like a 24 and a 31 on the same day.
Yeah,
No,
not for sure about that.
nope.
And then they mix it up with the weekends.
Yeah.
And then who the hell knows what's going on with February?
And nothing ever starts on a Monday. It's like very rarely like is day one of a month on a Monday, when every month it should be Monday.
You might as well give me a calculator. Who has time for that?
Right. Listen, you just tell me what I'm supposed to wear and where we're going and what time, and I'll show up.
Yeah, and even then, there's a good chance I'm going to get that wrong.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
but I will try at least, and I'll look like I know what I'm doing
I'll give it an effort.
while I'm doing it for the better part of that journey, anyways.
But no, I'm okay, man. I'm you know, people don't get to see our messaging back and forth, behind the scenes, and I've been begging you for weeks to do a show, and I know you've been busy, and it just, I just think that we have such a good time, and the people that watch us have such a good time that we gotta give the people
we owe it to
what they
the
want,
public.
man.
We owe it to the public to be back on the air.
We do.
That's what we're saying. We've got a moral and ethical obligation.
What was
and the
what
fans.
was? Do you remember the movie Real Genius with Val Kilmer?
I love that movie.
You've got a moral obligation.
I absolutely love that movie. There are certain movies that, like when we first, because we were very rural, so we didn't get cable and stuff for a lot until a lot longer after other people in the better part of the country had it. Our town was so small, middle of nowhere, that we never thought we'd get cable. And then finally, when we got cable, Real Genius was like on maximum rotation on HBO. Like if it was a Saturday and you were up before noon or up after 9 p.m., you were watching some Real Genius. I don't know the exact numbers that HBO paid for that kind of play of Real Genius, but I have to say that the network was probably in a sink or swim situation. Either people were going to watch Real Genius or HBO was going to close its doors. They were going to fold.
It was very much like the Beastmaster on TBS.
It was.
There was a while
all
when I thought
Beastmaster all the time.
I thought TBS stood for the Beastmaster station.
It practically did. I mean, you could wake up and you were guaranteed three things: a random fishing show, didn't know how it got on there, an Atlanta Braves game, and the Beastmaster.
Yep, all at the same time, all in the picture-in-picture before picture-in-picture was.
Oh yeah, yeah, because one had no precedence over the other. They were of all equal value.
And I seem to remember too when Real Genius was making the rounds on HBO, Krull was a very close second.
Yes, it was. Yes, it most certainly was. I grew up I wanted the glaive.
Oh, yes.
Didn't everybody want the Krull glaive?
Absolutely.
Now that I'm talking about it, later tonight, and I can't sleep, I'm going to scour the hallowed halls of Etsy for someone who has made a Krull glaive. And I'm going to find it. I'm going to scoff at how expensive it is. And then I'm going to go to bed. But I'm going to research the hell out of it to get to that point.
And at 2:00 in the morning, when you still can't sleep, you're going to hit the "fuck it, I'll just buy it now" button.
That has happened on multiple occasions on eBay, especially when I'll get a package in, and my wife can see that my face gets quizzical. Like, why am I receiving a package? Because normally I'm still like a kid, right? If I know I've got a package in, I'm tracking it all day. And if anybody's home, I'm calling home, and I'm like, "Hey, has UPS or FedEx came yet?" And they're like, "No." And all of a sudden I'm like, I think I'm going to have to come home early from work for no reason, but just to sit and wait. Like there's no purpose for me to be there. It's going to get there when it gets there. But the overwhelming anxiety that I have of not getting that package on time is too much for me.
Yeah, you kneel
So,
on the couch with your head between the curtains, like you did when you were a kid, waiting for your birthday card
yeah,
from grandma.
like I'm so excited. I don't even open the door. I just fall out of it. Like my legs aren't even working because I've been perched on the couch like some kind of like geriatric owl. So as soon as like the UPS truck rolls up, I just fling myself out the door. The legs don't work. I can't make anything intelligible of a sentence come out because I'm too excited.
Oh,
And then you know what ends up? It ends up being a fucking sweater for my wife from Amazon. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me you also ordered something? Because now I am emotionally crushed that you got something, and that's how petty I am. If I don't get my eBay or my Amazon, and my wife gets hers first, I'm like, you didn't need this. I
I'm
needed my purchase.
I'm on a first name basis with our Amazon delivery driver.
You have to form that relationship.
I mean, I see him get out of the truck, and like he sees me at the door, and like we'll meet halfway down the driveway so the dogs don't go crazy. And I'm like, "Hey, Jamal, what's up, man?" He's like, "RJ, what'd you order this time?" Like, boom.
It's our duty, Rob, to form a near symbiotic relationship with delivery drivers. They need to feel our excitement, and also they need to feel our disappointment.
Oh,
They need to know how deep those roots run.
and I'll tell you, our Amazon guy is awesome. He's just such a friendly dude, and shout out Jamal wherever you are. If you're watching, you might be. I got you. And but I have that Amazonesia
Oh
because
yeah, me too.
I have sleep issues like you have sleep issues,
Oh, yeah.
and there'll be a time like there's a package at the door, and I'm like, what did I order?
Oh yeah, yeah. At some point, I'm sure like our Amazon delivery man thinks that I'm always like just ODing on Ambien because I'll sometimes overly excited. Other times I look at these packages like, how did they get here?
What is this?
What power sent this 1983 Snake Eyes reissue of the G.I. Joe figure my way? And then I'll think about one night where I was sitting there going, I need a reissue of Snake Eyes because I need it. I need it. For those of you who'll notice, and I don't have the camera on it now, but a growing G.I. Joe anniversary collection that is happening on my wall. All purchases made after 1:30 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, midweek too.
Oh yeah,
Not on a weekend, midweek.
yeah. Like looking at my eBay history is like looking at fucking Kevin Spacey's diaries from Seven. Like, it's frightening and it takes you out of your element.
And it takes 25 people to look at it and go, what the fuck is all this?
Exactly. And both end with what's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the book?
Oh, do we have news tonight, good sir?
We do.
Okay, I'm gonna roll that beautiful news footage. Oh. We're the show with production value. As we attempt to get the clip loaded about 4 times as I double click across the entire interface of our software, hoping that it's getting ready to play. We've got news tonight, and as always, our news usually does herald from a specific part of the country. What have we got tonight, Rob?
We have an amazing Florida man story. I mean, we always have amazing Florida man stories. It's not like it's ever, Florida man does not disappoint. Um,
No,
but
no, he does not.
if you remember, on our last show, Florida man was arrested for slapping his wife with a slice of pizza,
Oh,
which
yes,
which
yes.
opened the rabbit hole into the Tostino's pizzas,
Hmm.
which I had not really had for many, many years, and
Right.
now is on a steady rotation.
A rabbit hole we barely escaped from.
Right. But I am now on steady rotation of at least once or twice a week a Tostino's pizza for lunch.
Oh,
You
you
know,
just don't know. You
right?
know, we knew and forgot, and then we
It's like
didn't know, and now we know again.
it's the best $1.57 you can spend.
Oh, damn it! There's
You
just
know,
something about it. It's
Eh,
like
eh,
whoever thought that they should dice pepperonis, but Tostino's came along and said, "Hey, we're gonna mix things up and do it a little different."
we're gonna take all the ends of the pepperoni that can't be sliced, and we're gonna do something with them.
Yeah, I think on the back it doesn't even say pepperoni anymore; it just says Rhine.
It says pepperoni underneath it in very small letters, like substance.
Right,
Pepperoni like
it's just
substance.
rib meat and Rhine.
So, um, police say they were called to a disturbance at a home in Wildwood, Florida, this past Sunday night. And when they arrived, the victim was holding a baby and asked to be taken somewhere safe because, according to the victim, um, she had been pelted with chicken wings. Her husband and her got into a fight, and the defendant threw chicken wings at her, with some hitting her on the shoulder and underneath her chin. The officers at the scene said they saw chicken wing sauce on the victim's chin, neck, and shoulder. Now, where I live in Western New York, that just means the wings were really good and you did not feel like wiping your hands in between. And you were
Right.
just like,
I have an instance of one point where a good friend of mine and I decided that we were going to go to a bar out in the middle of the Pine Barrens, right? And it was sort of a bar, but it was sort of a portal to a land of automobile parts and other things. Basically, the back of the bar opened up with these barn doors, and you could get yourself, like $1 PBR, and then go search for a catalytic converter for like a 74 Pinto, right?
right.
Uh, and I mean this place was, when I say portal in every sense of the word, we actually saw a fight break out, and someone pulled out not a knife, Rob, but an emery board.
Yeah. It's Jersey, bro.
Yeah, they pulled out an emery board, at which a small line started to form because I've got shit cuticles.
Right. You know,
Several of us did, but my friend thought that all bets are off. I'm going to drink as much as possible, humanly possible. And at one point in the night, I watch, and he's a connoisseur of fine wings and their sauces, and he had decided to forego a plate, and he's sort of a big barrel-chested guy, anyways, and just had the full uneaten wings and bones on his chest, just still eating. And we were like, for purposes of anonymity, insert name here, we should go now. At some point, this has spiraled out of control. We don't know where the plate is. The plate is the property of the bar. The wings are all over you. That was one of many instances in that same bar, because after we saw the emery board fight break out, we're like, same time, same place.
yeah.
We'll be here next Saturday.
What's going to happen next week? So here's my favorite part of this story, other than the whole thing. When the victim didn't open the door, the defendant is heard yelling, "I'm about to beat your fucking shit," and began violently banging on the door, which could be clearly heard on the audio recording of the police body camera. During questioning, officers said that Robert Francis Audette admitted to getting mad and throwing the wings, but that he did not intend to hit the victim with said wings.
Is he just like Rip Taylor?
Yeah.
Just throwing them up in the air? Where they land, who knows? Hey. What exactly is happening there?
I don't know. But, kudos to Florida because, I mean, two shows right in a row. We went slapped with a slice of pizza and followed it right up with wings. The classic,
that is both the quantity and quality of the criminal behavior there is that we can take a hiatus and come back and there is a similar crime being committed with a different menu item.
Right. It's like we never left.
It is like we've never left. It's strange because this situation, more than many others in Florida, almost reminds me of like a Hellraiser sort of situation where some people grab the box and getting chicken wings thrown at them is a good thing. Other people grab the box and it's not.
Right.
It's like that fine line between pleasure and pain that Barker always spoke about, but it's with chicken wings.
Right. I mean, if you did get like a buffalo hot and it kind of caught you like right under the eye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever been unfortunate enough to really like try your metal where you get like the nuclear hot wings,
Oh, absolutely.
like the wing like they labeled Chernobyl and you're like, yeah, sure, why not? And you just don't get enough of the sauce off your hands and then you go to the bathroom. Like that's not good. That's not a good situation for me.
I used to be a salesman for a hot sauce company, and we made one of our sauces with Scotch bonnet peppers. And I had done a tasting, for a majority of the afternoon, and it gets on your hands, and I made the mistake of doing one of these.
Oh no!
And I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it just was like, what do I do? What do I do?
Right. Yeah. And then it's like literally trying to like plug a leak in a hole in the wall and another leak spouts.
Right.
Because at that point you're trying to like grab a napkin where you try to do this thing where you like do this and you don't realize you've got more sauce on the back of your hand, because you're trying out sauces like you're at the fucking makeup counter at Macy's or something. Put it in the back of my hand. Yeah, just put the ghost pepper in the back of my hand. It's okay. And then it goes right in the fucking your eyes.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, just flat out. I understand. I understand the dangers. The dangers in just errant wing throwing. But I'd kind of like to be in that fight. I don't know.
Well, see, I would be the guy that would throw the blue cheese cup.
Ooh.
You got the wing, boom, blue cheese, or the celery. I think celery could be a weapon.
If the celery carrot boat.
Right. That could be used as a weapon. I mean,
you got to throw the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, I'm even, Lita, I'm a gracious enough host. Some napkins, maybe some wet wipes.
I want to hear the 911 call. 911, what's your emergency?
Right. It's BOGO 2-for-1 boneless. That's how the pain starts, Rob.
My husband had one too many Miller Lights, and It was buy one get one wings.
Right. Or it's got to be like an even cheaper beer, like
Oh,
Olympia.
Natty Ice.
Oh, Natties. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely Natties. I always there have been situations where I've walked into somebody's house and like I get the idea, I get the idea of being frugal. Um, I, however, I don't drink that much, but if I do have a beer, I tend to want something that I like the taste of, like it works well with my palate. Um, but you'll walk into the occasional house, and not only will they have Natty Light, but they'll have like Natty Light ponies,
Yeah.
and and I'm like, what annex of the world's cheapest packy did you go into to get Natty ponies?
You had to move the Meisterbrow out of the way.
Yeah, like I don't think you see those out in the wild. Like you do, you have
Ugh.
to look at the back of the fridge for those little
Now,
Natty Light ponies.
I know you're younger than I am, but you're old enough to remember the beer ball. Do you remember the beer ball?
I remember the beer ball, yeah.
Like the $15 Coors Light beer ball.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
There's so many things have been done, and then so many things have been marketed poorly in the name of beer.
yeah.
They really have. I still am sort of, reminiscent of the beer dog wars with like Spuds McKenzie,
Yep.
and there was another dog.
Yeah, he
Like
was it was the Meisterbrow dog, and I can't remember his name now.
right.
Yeah, it was see now, as you can see, this is one of my favorites. This is the Monty Python Holy
Oh
Grail
yeah.
Ale.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
if you read the small print, it says that it was tempered over burning witches.
Exactly.
Come on. If you're gonna put a beer out, put a beer out.
I agree. I mean, go big, go home. Shoot for the sky. Who cares if you hit the ceiling? Just make a decent and ironic beer.
I have the full range of Iron Maiden beers.
Very nice.
I do not drink, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I have not had a drink in 31 years.
Mm-hmm.
But when they came out, I just felt like I had to have them because they were, unique, different.
No,
You
I
know,
agree. There's novelty to it. There's novelty to it. So, now that we burned through half the show, because this is what
right,
we do.
right.
Uh,
The rabbit hole just get.
it is all consuming. Like not even light can escape it. So we're always teetering on the event horizon, anyways.
and tune in next week because, or in 2 weeks because I'm pretty sure Florida Man it's going to be meatballs and some sort of pasta. I'm going to put. I got a $5 bet.
Right.
It's meatballs and some sort of pasta.
Well, and this is what we got to look for. Are they following the menu for an Italian pizzeria, or is it a corner pub? Where will it fork off?
Ooh.
Right?
It could be really bad French onion soup.
Oh yeah. Where you can't tell if that stuff on the surface was purpose or accident.
Right. It's kind of got that, like if you hit it with the spoon, there's just enough bounce back that you're like, ugh.
It's like, I don't know if I want to eat it or just put a frog on it. Like, what is it better suited for? I don't know.
Okay, I just wasted another 2 minutes of the show. Let's just get into what we're supposed to be talking about.
Okay, so many people have watched and been thoroughly engaged in this show that was on Netflix. Now it's been a few months ago. That was based on a true story that many refer to as The Watcher.
Yeah. Now, I did watch the Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
Good show.
Which was greatly expanded on from
Right.
the original story, by the way.
Yeah, great show, but only about 10%, factual.
Right.
And I kind of wanted to discuss, both of us being Jersey, former Jersey guys.
Oh yeah.
This was a big thing when this hit. That This family buys this house, and all of a sudden they start getting these just, really intrusive missives that are spot on, factual, but incredibly intrusive.
And just across the board bizarre. I mean, like the language, I mean, we never really got, I guess, the full intent, but the language of it, the frequency, the it was just bizarre across the board. It was weird stuff.
And still not even a suspect. Not even
No.
right. It's not even. It's not like, oh, they found out who it was, or they think they know who it was. No, there's like zero traction on who it could be.
So for those who might be watching or might be watching in the future who don't know what the story is, Rob, could you give them a brief synopsis of what happened, what this was about?
So there was a very beautiful house in a northern suburb in New Jersey, not that far off from New York City, and it was an incredible house, and it was listed at a very modest price tag for the size of the house, around $600,000 or so. And I know that doesn't sound modest, but in Jersey, that's
Oh
not a
yeah.
bad price for a house. That's
Oh, right, yeah.
if people don't understand, the pricing of real estate in New Jersey, and that was a very, very good price for a
Mhm.
house of this caliber. And so family purchase it. They have young kids. They move in. They're getting the house set up, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes an envelope in their mailbox. It's not mailed. There's no stamp. There's nothing on it. It's just an envelope. And they open it up, and it's written in this really clunky block. I think you could probably pull it up. I think there's pictures of it on the
Mhm.
internet, but it's written in this very clunky, blocky kind of print, and it kind of delves into that the family is being watched, that the children are being watched, that all of this house itself is kind of possessed, and it's written from this weird omniscient point of view. And then it just they get that letter, and then nothing. And then I think wasn't it like 2 months later or 3 months later, they get a series of them day after day after day for like 3 days.
Right.
And then it stops again. And there's no fingerprints on the letters. There's no, the letters are sealed, but there's no way there's no DNA or anything like that they can pull off of it from anywhere.
Right.
And it's increasingly getting into the personal lives of the people that live in the home. And it's detailing things that are happening inside the home that are not being discussed outside the home. And
Right.
it totally freaks this family out. And were you able to find an image of it, or?
I'm looking for it right now. I've seen several that are hand typed replicas of the original.
Right, yeah.
Um, which again, talking about Etsy, they're selling these things on Etsy. They're selling replicas of these
Yeah.
letters.
Well, Netflix puts Kate Bush on, in a show, and all of a sudden a song that peaked in the mid 30s when it came out is number one, so.
Exactly. So some of the content of this is just bizarre. Like here's one that is read based off of the original. So it starts with a dearest new neighbor of 657 Boulevard. Allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? So already this is like borderline occult, right?
Yeah.
It's borderline occult creepy. Like it's personifying the house as some kind of entity, weird shit. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now. And as it approaches its 110th birthday, 111th birthday, I have been put in charge. I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. So it's almost from a masculine perspective, this legacy.
Right.
Grandfather, father, and then you would presume it to be a male
Son.
based
Yep.
on that, right? It is now my time. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look out any of the many windows in 657 Boulevard at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. So just very,
Yeah.
it's not like over the top aggressive, but it's almost passive aggressive, like
It's
in the way that it's insinuating that there's this identity. He's out there watching, and who it is. So it continues with, you have children, and this is where, to me, I would just lose my shit.
oh, like I said, it starts getting personal.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you throw chicken wings at. You have children.
You scoop a little sauce out of the bottom of the container first.
Oh,
Make sure that it's a sloppy one, and then
oh, exactly. I mean, it's at the bottom of the bucket. If you go that route, or the boat, and it's got just enough grease in it that there's 3 or 4 bubbles you'll never be able to pop. You cannot permeate the grease bubble at the bottom of the buffalo wing boat. But what you do know is that somewhere is a piece of spicy Thai chili.
Yep.
It's floating around in there, just a random red rectangle. So you have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 that I have counted. And this again is where it just starts to go off the rails. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Just so bizarre.
And like, why? I mean, why? And we'll never know because, they have no idea who this was. Not even,
Right.
No clue.
I mean, was it just like someone who was scorned at an open house? I mean, you'd have to think that, I realize that sometimes it's difficult for me to put myself in the position of people who are extremely petty, because my pettiness has a laziness border to it. Like, I can't, it's a moat that I can't cross.
Yeah, I'd love to get back at you, but fuck it, that's just too much energy.
Oh yeah. I'm like I almost feel sometimes that I justify not doing it as being the real assault on them. Like, I was going to get back at you. You're not worth my energy.
Right. It's that, working it out to your favor.
Right? That's
I was going to
exactly what
throw
it
a
is.
chicken wing at you, but I was still a little bit hungry. And,
Yeah.
it-
You're
it
not
looked-
you're not even worth staving off the last vestiges of my hunger. That's
And
how
this is-
little I care.
it's one of the ones with like the broken bone in it, and you can tell because it's kind of misshapen. You're like,
Oh yeah. And you're gonna get a lig of it stuck right there. And you're gonna be playing the fucking jaw harp with that thing for like 3 days straight.
you're going to do this. Like, you and I both know this has happened to both of us. The 2 a.m.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like I feel like eating chicken wings might be like a better alternative than like x-rays at the dentist. You will find shit in your teeth you never thought was there. Cavities that have never bothered you. Like, all of a sudden you're like, A food pocket? What the fuck is a food pocket? But you've got approximately a third of a wing trapped in a food pocket somewhere in your mouth.
And no amount of is
No,
gonna. Nope.
no. It's like you have an abscess in there, you're gonna find it.
Yeah,
A
you
tiny
could
little
brush your
piece of
teeth.
wing will drill itself up into your bicuspid. If you've got a tiny hole there, it'll pack it, and
And,
you'll feel it for the next week.
and you can brush your teeth, and you can floss.
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter.
It ain't happening. It ain't changing it.
You,
But I mean,
you
so
have
anyway,
you
it,
got better luck just grabbing a handful of gravel and hoping that it dislodges some of the chicken
that you wear your
than,
teeth down to a
than
point where
right than flossing for a month. Like you got a nice chunk of feldspar out in your yard, and
I swear
just
to God, this rabbit hole has welcome to the Lincoln Tunnel right over the top. You are now leaving New Jersey.
right, yeah.
Uh,
But,
but
but so the Watcher letters they're just funky. They're weird, and they're past that like common weird. They're past that common like, hey, I saw your wife taking in groceries, nice melons, or whatever.
yeah.
It's like it's way past that stuff.
Oh,
Way past that.
yeah. That was like the kindergarten, and this is like college
Oh yeah.
thesis weird.
Yeah, just extremely bizarre. And it almost hints of something like, and of course, this is why I sort of gravitated towards it, is because it almost hints at something like ritualistic.
And that was thought for a while. I believe that at one point in time, and I cannot remember, that there used to be, and I know you and I have talked about this in the past. There was an area, and I want to say it's also in New Jersey, and it was like 10 miles from where this place was. It was the Devil's Bin or the Devil's
Yeah.
Den. Remember, it was a cave, and it had these like iron
Oh
bars
yeah.
across it.
Yeah.
And I want to say that at one point in time, it was kind of they tried to tie those two things together, and they couldn't,
Right. Yeah.
because there is just no evidence whatsoever on any of these letters that points to a direction that it's coming from.
And just again, it's if it's a prank or something like that, there doesn't seem to be any end game. It seems to be if it's just upsetting people, then it's very malicious and venomous, because that's all it really did was just get people very upset, very paranoid. Um, I do know that they had talked at some point. I think this made it into the show a little bit, that they thought that there was some other entrance into the house.
Yes, they thought that there was some kind of a secret room in the house or some kind of a surveillance system that had been installed that they weren't aware of.
So they do go into that a little bit in the Netflix series. One thing that I do like about the Netflix series, if we tip this a little bit in the favor of the way it was fictionalized, was I do like the point where especially the father character becomes so paranoid.
Yeah.
Like it's almost as if they were if that was the end game, they were hyper successful, because he was ruining his career, his relationships with his family, his friendships, his reputation.
Well, in real life, the father's career did, tank for quite a while. He did kind of go into a very career downward spiral because of it.
I mean, it has to be pretty consuming, right? I mean, as adults, even when we get into like tussles or something, or we get into arguments with other adults, like it's usually short lived. It's something involving school or involving work or whatever, and usually those incidents and unfortunately play backseat to something bigger that comes along the following day or the following week. So even if they do affect us, it's usually for a very short term period of time. And I'm talking about stuff outside of like our media family. So when something like this comes in and it sticks around, I mean, we haven't really felt something like that, and so, you know, being bullied was probably the last time we as a person felt that kind of personal attack. You just don't think you're gonna feel that when you're an adult.
And it was so out of left field because this was like the dream home, in the dream neighborhood with just everything was right. And like you said, and here you are, this, imagine being the father and trying to go to work and knowing that when you back out of your driveway in the morning, no clue who's watching that house while you're gone, who's watching your wife, who's watching your kids. And you have, I mean, I know it's a very chauvinistic point of view, but as the father, he was probably very much, who's I got to take care of my wife, I got to take care of my kids, and
Yeah, like
it
I
just
don't, I don't care, as a male how non-traditional you think you are. There's still a hardwiring that you feel as though you take on the protector role. Again, I don't care how much of a sort of a gender play there is within your relationship. There's something that it has been not only hardwired in there, but has been nurtured, societally for I mean, who knows how long
right,
that element's been there. And hell, it might be something that's hereditary, genetically. It might have absolutely nothing to do with nature, nurture, or anything else. It literally just might be part of, our internal code. But I think everyone feels that way about their children. And then there's a different level, as you're a mother, and a different level as you're a
well,
father, comparable. But, I know that, oh, my kid play, we're so far away from any neighbors, but my kid's outside after dark, and I'm like, for some reason, like I think an enormous hawk would carry the kid away or something. It's like,
well, it's because of the show we do, and we've heard stories about giant birds.
right, yeah. Listen, my paranoia is on a different level, but
But
we all have.
I also know you don't want to be flipping, Mrs. Hamilton's mama bear switch either.
No, no,
No, because
no, no, no,
that's not a pretty picture.
no, no. And I have those moments, like I think most fathers do, where they have a little bit of blind panic, like he's out of earshot. I can't get there fast enough, whatever. Like we're always sort of thinking that. And those are the elements that are the unseen, the things that have no direct direct relevance to us, things that are just things that are product of the media or product of stories that you've heard, of children getting abducted and stuff. So that stuff's always there. But imagine getting pointed letters that are specifically talking about your children. I gotta admit, I don't even know if I'd be able to go to work.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd get anything done. I don't know if my brain would be able to, apply this hemisphere there and that hemisphere there. I don't think I could make that separation. I think that I would be riddled with anxiety the entire day.
Yeah, I'd be hooked on Mountain Dew and NoDoz.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably, I mean, if this gentleman probably goes through a lot of the same stages and steps that people who go through a life-changing experience like this. And I have to say, this has to be life-changing. You don't go through this and come out the other side the same person, right?
Oh, absolutely not. And when you get, like I said, when it starts getting, like you mentioned in the letter, did you bring the new blood because like I requested? Like, oh, come on, that's just not cool.
And the language is strange, right?
Right. It's not written in like it's not written in like a common, just, normal sentence structure.
Right. It's not casual.
Right.
Even casual aggressiveness would be something like, "Hey, saw your kids out there. I'd put them inside if I were you."
Right.
Like that would be the typical threat that you would expect. but this is written in a much weird, like again, like a pervasive, insidious kind of way. It's very bizarre.
And it's funny. We were just talking about sleep, and one of the other stories that I wanted to talk to you about, one of the ones I wanted to bring up was, so I am a huge vacation in Maine person.
Hmm.
Absolutely love the state of Maine. Um, before I die, I will live there again, or figure out somehow to rent, long term over summers when I finally get a chance to retire, if I ever get a chance to retire. And one of my favorite places in Maine is a town called Cape Elizabeth.
Okay.
And it's a very isolated area. Not to say that it's hard to get to, it's just isolated because of the terrain of the area. And it's very near Portland. It's within 40 minutes of Portland. It's not out in the middle of the boonies anywhere, and it's right on the ocean. And it's home to some houses that are 5-10 million dollar houses,
Okay.
big time dollar amounts.
Hmm.
And they had what they called the Cape Stalker. And as much as those letters in the Watcher freaked me out, this one freaked me out a little bit more.
Okay.
And so the story goes, this young white male, early 20s, was breaking into people's homes just to watch them sleep. He never stole anything. He never broke anything. He never destroyed anything. He never touched anyone. He never did anything other than stand at the foot of the bed and watch them sleep.
So bizarre.
I don't know what to do with that.
Well, I mean, obviously, eh, people feel a certain way about not only their home but specifically their bedroom, because that's really where we feel most vulnerable. It's not like he's
It
always
also could
watching.
be your safe place
Yeah,
where
and
you
it's not
feel
like he's
safest.
watching you cook. He's not
Right.
like hanging out somewhere next to the lazy Susan, like, oh, cumin. It's like,
You put more paprika in last time, you know.
right, yeah. It's like that cake's not gonna rise. It's not like he's just back there, criticizing your baking, but it's like he's in that den, sort of
Yeah.
the place where all your intimacy and everything happens. I mean, that's sort of a sacred place, and to have just somebody there, and because you almost feel like if you're asleep and they're awake, that he's also asserting some strange dominance. Like he really is controlling the room at that point. When you're asleep. Of course, I would like him to come to my house because my sleep is so shitty, and he'd be like, "Dude, 43 minutes? Seriously?
That's all you got?
Like, can't a couple more melatonin or something?" He's like, "I'm very disappointed, and
Yeah.
I'm probably not coming back."
Yeah. The worst part of it would be to me, like, just realizing that that was the only reason he was there.
Yeah, again,
Like,
that's
he didn't
so
go through
strange.
drawers. He didn't steal anything from these people. And these were people that had money and things in homes that were of value.
Yeah,
To me, it would be just like,
just very specific,
right. And it wasn't
very
one
weird.
home. It wasn't like he broke into one home and did it once.
Right.
This was multiple homes over a span of many months. And then it just stopped.
I get it. Well, and that kind of behavior stopping is weird. The behavior
Yeah.
itself obviously bizarre, but there had to have been a very deep-seated need to, keep doing that particular behavior. it had to have been giving him something that he greatly needed for him to, risk being taken to jail. And not only that, but risk being possibly killed, or at least beaten
Yeah.
badly, or any number of those things. Like, he was risking all of that for this one behavior. So it had to have been compulsory and almost uncontrollable. So why then did it quit? And that's when you ask yourself, like, did they die?
Yeah.
Is it just a random thing like that? Did they just pass away?
Is it
Or
happening in Cleveland?
right, right.
Did
Is the serial behavior still there, but in a different area?
and to me, like what got me was just like the the people described this, like, if again another, if you want to pull it up and you pull up Cape Stalker, you'll see this picture. It's just a very benign looking guy.
Right.
And people, they asked for tips, and there were people that saw the sketch and were like, oh, we think it's this person, oh, we think it's that person, but it never led anywhere. There were never any fingerprints, there were never any, nothing ever tying anyone to this case. And it's just cold, it's gone, it's over. They never caught him, they never figured out who it was, and it just vanished into the ether.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the scary part now. I mean, if I'm one of the people that had that happen to them, how do you ever sleep again, not knowing that you're not going to wake up and he's going to be there again?
Well, both of these stories, they're so far beyond the realm of strange. They board on something completely different. That how do you go back to any real sense of normalcy after that happens in your life? How do you do that? I have no clue.
Yeah.
I mean, you have people who suffer a break-in and their
Right.
lives are irrevocably changed after the break-in.
And
And this is something far more complex.
Yeah, here's never, like, never took anything, never touched anything. There had to, like you said, there had to be some kind of compulsory.
Yeah.
There had to be something. I don't know. It almost freaks me out more than the watcher getting the letters.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there was a physical aspect to that. The letters, there was a physical component.
Yeah.
This is just, it's a great big jar of what the fuck.
And it's strange because I know my sleep varies to the point where there are nights where anything will wake me up. And then there are nights where nothing will wake me up. But, the idea, I think, of risking that every single time, being that exposed, again, very strange.
And
It's very, very strange.
I mean, you and I both have kids, and you've had that feeling that, like, I'm being watched, and you wake up and it's your kid kind of like getting to the point where they're just about to say dad or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that is, in a very temporary sense, whether it's seconds or whatever, is disturbing enough.
Yeah. To have that little face like 2 feet away from you.
Oh, you're just like, kid, if you're trying to kill me, you're close.
Right.
So it's like gold star for tonight.
But you're 8 years from getting in the will.
Yeah, exactly. But your sister is ahead by just a tiny little bit now. But she did eat the cookie dough ice cream, so you guys might be neck and neck next week. But it's like, yeah, it's so bizarre. Well, we are coming up on the hour, Rob. It's always the fastest hour on the internet for us. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Do you have a little bit of time off the air for me real quick, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to thank everybody who watched tonight. Again, we're going to try to do these every 2 weeks now, and hopefully sometime soon we'll get back into the every week routine. For those of you who have not seen Holes in the Sky, by the way, I got to promote it. It is currently on almost every single major streaming platform, including Tubi and Redbox, which are free on both of those. I believe, right now. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can watch it. If it is something that you do want to see in a theater, it will be showing it in Chicago and New Mexico in the next coming months. So thanks everybody for stopping by. Have yourself a great night. This is Night Terror.